If you have ADHD and you've ever had a week where you're totally unstoppable and then the next week you can't find your keys, you can't start anything, and you're one mildly passive aggressive email away from losing your shit, this video is for you. Because hormones can absolutely change how ADHD shows up, and the good news is science is finally catching up, which means that we can stop gaslighting ourselves and start noticing patterns. ADHD isn't laziness, it's your brain's motivation system being a little bit cooked. Dopamine, task initiation, emotional regulation, reward, and hormones are all involved in this, especially estrogen and progesterone. Have you noticed that around the middle of your cycle, often near ovulation, you feel kind of fabulous? Like your focus is better, you have motivation, you can start tasks without needing 3-day mental planning phase. You might even be social without entering a coma afterwards. And then later in the cycle, especially heading towards your period, it's like your brain turns into wet cement. You can't pay attention to people, you forget what you've walked into the room for. You lose your keys while they're literally in your hand, and suddenly fantasizing about dopamine foods like they're Jason Momoa because your brain is trying to self-medicate. Here's the science bit, but in normal person language. So estrogen supports dopamine signaling. Dopamine being the key player in ADHD symptoms. So when estrogen is higher, many women feel more functional. And when it drops, which is like your late luteal phase, menstruation, and often during perimenopause, symptoms just go wild. So after ovulation, progesterone rises. Some women find progesterone calming, they sleep better, they feel grounded, whereas other women, progesterone hits them like a truck. You're wiped out, you can't think straight, your tolerance for other humans drops to 0, and you're liable to stab a bitch, figuratively speaking. Then right before your period, both estrogen and progesterone drop, which can be a trigger for big mood swings and emotional regulation issues, especially if you already have ADHD. Now, everybody's body is different, but a common pattern looks like this. Follicular phase, which is your period to ovulation. You're loving life, feeling fit, motivated, decluttering the whole house, starting projects, and being a functioning adult. Luteal phase, which is post-ovulation. Things get a little bit wild, can't focus, can't initiate tasks, crying at ads, snapping at people, and feeling like your brain has left the chat. Menstruation. Welcome to the thick as mints, brain fog, low energy, and moving physically feels like you're wading through concrete. If you track your cycle and symptoms for 2 to 3 months, you've usually seen your own version of this play out. Perimenopause is the kicker that nobody talked to us about. Estrogen can fluctuate wildly, sleep can get worse, and ADHD symptoms that were previously manageable can suddenly become super loud. This is where it's worth talking to your GP about options. ADHD med adjustments, sleep support, and for some people, hormone therapy. Look, it's not a magic fix, but it is another magnificent tool in that box. What actually helps? Okay, practical stuff, because knowing the why is very validating, but you also need a plan. Fuel like your brain needs it. That stability that you gain with your blood sugar keeps you in a place of peace rather than being all over the show with your mood and focus, which is what happens when you are undernutritioned. Aim for regular protein. So yeah, breakfast matters, fiber, and complex carbs, especially in the luteal phase. Hydration. I get scared when people tell me they drink maybe a litre of water a day. Guys, dehydration, even mild, can make brain fog so much worse. We need to mention undereating. A lot of women are unintentionally undereating, especially when they are stressed, busy, or nauseous. Underfueling can amplify irritability, cravings, fatigue, and poor sleep. Use systems, not willpower. ADHD brains do best with structure, Try planning high cognitive tasks for your higher capacity days. Lower those expectations when you're going to be in that luteal menstrual phase. This is capacity planning, not labeling yourself as useless. Visual cues and routines in place around your home are going to reduce your decision fatigue and make your life so much nicer. Sleep is non-negotiable. Do what you need to do to get sleep better. I have an info sheet on my blog that you can download for free. If your sleep drops, everything gets harder. Build yourself a wind down routine that is boring enough to work. Remember, your patterns make sense. They're part of your hormones and your brain chemistry and how it all works in that beautiful melting pot together. If you want more information on this and you like a bit of the written word, I've put it on my blog, on my website. You can get the link. It's in the bio. Check it out. It's got all of the research there as well. Also, please consider liking and subscribing to this channel if this was useful to you. And thank you so much for following along. Catch you next